This meeting is being live streamed.
So you guys working on setting things up?
Yeah, I was just getting the live stream going on YouTube.
So I'll direct this question to you, Wolf.
Okay.
My wife has this screenshot of things to not trust on the internet. And it's a URL called mybanktoyou.com. And in it, the A in bank is a little different between the two. But isn't the internet just done with ASCII? I mean, is there a way to make a different A in the internet?
That's one of the scams using UTF. Yeah, using UTF-8 to make a website.
Can you use UTF-8 in, or just in what they sent you was used? But I thought the whole internet was just in ASCII.
No, it's all UTF-8. So a URL can be in UTF-8. So you can be clicking on what you think is bankofamerica.com, but it's
got invisible characters or something.
Or a character that looks like an A, but it's
just a little different.
Yeah,
okay.
Different enough.
I thought the whole URL system was in ASCII.
Nope.
Nope.
That's one of the scams. Yep. Did she click on it and put her password in?
Well, yeah, she didn't put our entire retirement savings account into it, but she kept the part where we had shorted Tesla, just like Bill Gates did.
Wolf, are you going first?
I don't care.
I would prefer that you did.
I'm happy to.
Cool. Cool.
Don't forget to allow participants to share their screen.
Oh, yeah. Where do I do that? Share screen. There it is. Okay, it's done. I can't tell if it actually went live on. Oh, I guess it did. Yeah.
I got messages that it did.
Yeah. I wasn't seeing it, but now I am. Yeah.
Well, thank God she told me.
She was polite.
I realized when I got home today that I need to work from home tomorrow because I'm having lunch with a friend I haven't seen in quite a while. And I told my teammate over Teams, and he said, "And where is your work laptop?" Which he said from the office, where he could see my work laptop because I had not brought it home. I made a mistake.
Well, that's going to be rather tricky.
I can't run the software on my Mac because it requires the database, which requires the VPN. But I can edit it and do all kinds of Git stuff and edit bugs and Confluence pages and all that. Everything but run the app.
I thought you weren't supposed to do any of that with your own computer.
Yeah, I'm not. supposed to.
Oh, okay. All right. Glad that's recorded on YouTube right now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, man. Hey, there's Gib.
Howdy.
Yeah, hey. How's Texas?
Hello,
Nice and warm?
Gab.
Well, got up to 80 yesterday,
Shut up.
but today it's way down to like 58, something like that.
Uh, cold spell, huh?
Yeah, I got a new
What is it
jacket
here
for
today,
my
then?
birthday, so
Oh, yeah.
try
Yeah,
that
you
out.
just had a birthday, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
67.
67. You're an old man.
Yeah, so qualified for Social Security this year.
Yeah.
Are you taking it or are you waiting?
No, I took it. Figured the wife wants to spend money, you know.
Yeah.
I also have to pay for my fancy car that I've got. So I've got the guy's working on upgrading the engine on it.
Yeah.
Sent me a bill for several $1,000s. I had to pay for that somehow, you know.
Okay. Justin just sent me a message. He joined via YouTube for his commute. He'll get online for real when he gets home.
I just thought I'd mention this little hobby that I'm starting to get into a little bit is AI generated images, right?
Yeah.
So,
Oh, I saw that one of your Mustang.
yeah, and then I've got one of a buff Santa working out, you know, just thought that because my niece is selling this like beverage that you drink to suppress appetite and you know all that energy stuff. So I gave her that, hoping that maybe she could sell more of her, whatever that powder is,
Yeah.
Zintel. So yeah, kind of quiet down here, just taking it easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the grass is still growing like last week, so I think it stopped now. But
there's Mr. Williams.
Good evening, everyone.
Hey.
Good evening.
So
and a fine evening it is. It's not raining.
Yeah.
Well, I was looking for some open software that would do like image generation, that type of thing. I'd really like to find some open source that would, you do a text prompt on some of these things and you get like an image. Text prompt to video. I could see nice software, like commercial software that will do that.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anything in like a free open source version of that yet. So
when you find something that works with the GIMP, let me know.
Yes. I asked my wife for my birthday present to give me one of those commercial software things that does it. So we'll see.
I'm trying to remember. I worked with something, geez, maybe 15 years ago, but I can't remember the name of the software. But it was open source.
It wasn't doing AI stuff.
Not 15 years ago.
Oh, AI.
Yeah.
I missed that part.
I mean, it's pretty cool what they can do. I don't know if you've seen these like dances that they have Trump and some of the other political folks dancing. Like doing like dancing to the Bee Gees and stuff.
Yeah.
There's an app on your Android phone you can get to take your picture. I did it and got my aunt singing "Staying Alive." Yeah,
Oh, okay.
to the Bee Gees, the Bee Gees.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
This is the Bee Gees staying alive, and they had Donald Trump and Elon Musk dancing, real fancy dancing steps.
A
I
no
do know
show.
there's some. I do know their add-ons are
And
available for the GIMP. I tried, unsuccessfully to install them on the GIMP.
Okay, well, I'm sure it'll get there, right? Just
Oh yeah.
yeah, I tried for 3 days to draw a straight line with the GIMP. Difficult product to learn. Some of these like websites and stuff, it looks like you just type in the words like a sentence and it will generate an image for you. So I had fun with that.
Can you all hear me all right?
I
Yes.
hear somebody.
absolutely, Joe.
All right. I never know.
Yep. Who's got the dogs?
Not
Me.
The gutter cleaner guy still there?
No, but because I'm talking, so maybe I'll mute my mic. If I can remember how to do that.
Yeah.
What about now?
What about now?
Feel like I lost the audio.
I hear you.
Oh, now I hear you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess that's
There just was no audio.
yeah. Well, I'll keep it to this because never mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now it's likely just me today, so I figured I'd just use the computer.
Okay.
Need for the owl. I picked it up just in case anybody shows up because I never know.
Yeah.
Quiet lunch tonight.
Yeah.
So I think see a thing here that GM has exited the robo taxi market.
Oh,
Really? Their cruise thing they were doing?
Yeah, I'll send a link to you. Cruise, yeah. Which I guess is kind of a surprise, but I guess it must be difficult to do,
It's not a simple problem, especially when there's so many idiot drivers out there to begin with.
Well, this
For some, go ahead.
I'm just saying that I see this note that says that read AI meeting notes to the meeting, where it generates like a summary of the meeting. And I know we worked at Ford a couple of years, probably, I don't know, 5 years ago, we tried an AI assistant to summarize, and it was just terrible. I mean, at that point, it just wasn't ready yet. So it'd be interesting to know if that's gotten better now.
The thing I was going to say is that YouTube has decided that what I like to watch is entitled Karens getting arrested by the police.
Yeah.
And you know what? I kind of do.
They figured it out because you clicked on one or two of them.
And watched more than 2 seconds of it.
I think it's more complicated than that. I think they know his age, his education, his as you mentioned, his what he likes, his political leanings, and 100 other things, and determine that he would like this. Just my guess.
I've been listening to a book called 4,000 Weeks, and I read reviews of it on Amazon, and a lot of people gave it 5 stars and thought it was terrific, and some people said it was too political. Now, I'm halfway through, and the only politics in it is a couple times the guy has mentioned how bad Nazis are.
Well, they were
so
offended.
My thinking is these people who say it's too political are Nazis.
Yeah, must be.
There are a lot of trolls out there that do nothing but put comments on these things.
Yeah.
And now they have AI bots to do it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Including saying that a certain product you're interested in buying is good or bad, giving reviews.
I'm getting
I think right now the majority are probably AI. I'm very skeptical of reviews of any product.
I see a lot of reviews where the wording is almost identical. Doesn't matter what the product is. The wording there's very common wording for those reviews, and I'm sure that most of them are generated by bots.
Well, even the ones that aren't generated by bots, they have room full of people in China that are just copying and pasting the notes.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I'm trying to decide on which thing to buy, I'll start at the Wirecutter.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty good. Yeah.
It's a New York Times thing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but their reviews, I think that their reviews are pretty good.
Yeah,
pretty down to earth. It's sort of like a modern day Consumer Report, but they don't do quite the technical detail on it. It always seem to come up with pretty good reviews.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Wirecutter though, they don't say this, but I don't think they're looking for the best thing. They're looking for the best thing for the money.
The best value. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think.
All right. Well, should we get this meeting going? It's 6:41 now. I generally like to get started at 6:40. Let's do it. So, welcome to the December mug meeting. Glad to see everybody here. Hopefully a few more will trickle in as we go. We got a pretty nice night tonight. We're going to be talking about 2 things. Wolf is going to talk about grep, the Unix utility called grep. Give us a nice little 15 or 20 minute description of what it is, how to use it. Then after that, I'm going to be talking about QR codes. I've had a lot of occasion where I've needed to generate QR codes in my software for my customers. And I'm just going to kind of talk about what I learned, show some examples, show some documentation, generate a few of them, and then play with it a little bit and take your questions. So before we get onto that, we got a little bit of business we got to take care of, like every month. If you can mute your microphone, that'd be great, unless you want to say something. So in general, just keep it muted. We got the board members. We got Dave Satwitz. I see him up in the upper, I don't know how it's arranged for you guys, but he's in my upper left corner. Me, I'm Jim McQuillan. Next is Dick Williams. We got Joe Ryan. He's there waving. Wolf, he's there. Justin is listening on to the YouTube stream, and he will be along shortly. He's just on his way home from work, like he always is at this time. So he'll join us in a little bit. Let's see. Membership. Dave, you want to talk about membership real quick?
Sure. We continue to have an opportunity to be a dues paying member. Way back when, yesteryear, when we had to pay for meeting rooms, we had a fairly substantial need for money. And so we had memberships available. And now that we're completely online and have some accumulated funds, we don't have so much of a need, but we still have an opportunity to be a dues paying member. It's $50 to become a dues paying member. And right now that gets you, well, number one, it gets you a membership sort of kind of in perpetuity, because what we've done is suspended the expiration dates on everybody's membership, because we don't really need much money. Got a few expenses, but not much. And so everybody's membership extends a month every month. But what you get for being a member is just the feeling of belonging and of being one of the owners and one of the people putting it on. And every year we have an election of the board of directors of the committee, and you get to vote in that. It's a really highly contested election every year. So if you'd like, and if you feel so inclined, you can go to the website and hook up a payment there, or connect with Dick Williams, and he'll take care of you, and you can become a dues paying member. If not, hey, we love you. I mean, this is an open meeting. It's always been an open meeting. It will always be an open meeting. So it is completely optional.
Yeah. So there, membership. You can go to the MUG website, mug.org, and sign up for that. Let's do the jobs thing. Do we have some jobs looking for people? Yeah, we could always count on you, but now that you're retired, you don't have so much to say in that field.
That's right. Nothing to say. Sorry.
Okay. All right. Any jobs out there looking to fill? No? Good. Okay. And then people. Any people out here looking for a job? I think most of us are gainfully employed. It doesn't look like anything. If you do happen to be a person looking for a job, just speak up when you get a chance. Got some sponsors. Again, like Dave said, we don't need a whole lot of money to keep the operation running lately, but we do have some corporate sponsors. Averis is one of them. Penguicon has been a sponsor for a long, long time. Altair Computing, A2 Hosting, they provide our web space for free, so that's kind of nice. Then we got some media sponsors: No Starch Press, Manning Publications, and Tilted Windmill Press. Occasionally, they'll supply us with free giveaways. I keep thinking I got to reach out to them again. Craig was great at doing that, reaching out and getting all the freebies. So we're gonna have to start doing that again. Stay connected with us. There's a number of ways to find out about these meetings. One of them is Meetup. We have like 1,018 members in Meetup, I think the last time I saw. So that's pretty cool. So the word is getting out about all of our meetings. You can go to the website and sign up on our mailing list. We have a discuss mailing list and an announce mailing list. Neither one of them have very much traffic. The announce mailing list is good for one email a month, just telling you about the next meeting. So that's pretty cool. Sign up on those if you'd like. Um, let's see. Yeah, I talked about our website. Let's see. Upcoming meetings. Well, obviously tonight, you know what tonight is. It's the GREP and QR codes. I do have some upcoming meetings already scheduled, which is really cool. Let me see. Okay, so in January we're gonna have a meeting. Scott Belnaves, he's my friend up in Winnipeg, Canada. He's going to be connected up and showing us about sensors on Linux, particularly like one wire sensors. And I know he's doing some new stuff with I forget what it is. Anyway, it's all about doing things like temperature sensors for outdoors, humidity sensors, um, home automation type stuff. He's going to be talking about that on the January meeting. I don't know if you were here back in November. We had a meeting about debugging, and we were giving away the zines from Julia Evans. We're going to do another one of those probably around March. That was a lot of fun, where we all kind of got. It was sort of interactive. That was pretty cool. Back to January when we did the one wire sensing thing with Scott Belnaves. We're also going to be doing a little small presentation on shell redirection, pipes and greater than and less than and all that input output redirection stuff. So that's going to be our little side presentation. Other than that, we're open for ideas. If you guys have ideas for presentations you'd like to see, speak up. If you would like to give a presentation, we would be happy to accommodate you. So just you can send an email to board@mug.org, or you can chat here in the channel if you'd like. Let me open up my little chat window. Okay, so what else have I got to say? Any miscellaneous? Anything else we need to cover before we get started with this fantastic meeting?
Other groups?
Other groups, yes. How did I miss that on the slides? Other groups. Gib, are you still running MD Lug?
So yes, with MD Lug, and every Saturday, second Saturday at noon, it's online. So December 14th is the one coming up this Saturday, and our topic this month is going to be upscale, an image enhancer. So I've done this thing where you take a photo, you push it to the web, like on Facebook or something. Later you download it, and it's it's not as clear. They simplify, they remove some of the pixels out. So this will help restore some of the sharpness to a photo and that type of thing. So kind of an interesting piece of software. So we have that meeting every month, and we have 5 or 6 people get together, just talk about technology of all different types. So free and open to anybody who wants to join. Thank you.
It's this Saturday, the 14th, you said?
Yep.
Great.
Information in the chat.
Yeah, there's information in the chat. Let's see, where did Richard Jackson go? Did we lose him? I know he does the Semco stuff. He was just here. Oh, there he is.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Yes. We always meet the second Sunday, and on the one in January, I'd have to look at the calendar to know the exact date. But the presentation will be on NordVPN. And it's a high-rated one, and it will discuss why you should have a VPN, and also the advantages of NordVPN and some of the additional features you can get as part of it.
Great. Great. That'll be Sunday, January 12th. That's the second Sunday.
Yes. Right. Yeah. Yes, that is correct. And also at all of our meetings, we have a SIG Linux, a special interest group on Linux that follows our main, basically Windows or smartphone presentation, which is done by Shuan Kawani. I don't know what the subject's going to be, but it would be a worthwhile thing for you guys that are into Linux to join us and participate in. We meet
Cool.
in person at i3 Detroit, but also online using Zoom. So either way, they have a classroom at i3 Detroit. It's a makerspace for those that don't know. And the Semco website will tell you the location of i3 Detroit. But also you can go to i3detroit.org. And
Cool. All right, thank you. So with that, I think we're ready to get moving on with the formal presentations. Wolf, you're going to do the first one on grep. You should have the ability to present to Zoom. Take over the screen. See if that works for you. Ah, you're looking at me.
All right, can you see my terminal?
I see it.
And is the text big enough? I tried to make it big enough. Let's do an LS. Can you read those?
I can read them.
Yep.
Everybody
Great.
okay with it?
So today, what I want to talk about is a crucial Linux tool that is available on every Linux and Unix system that you will ever remote into. That tool is called grep, G-R-E-P. There's a couple variations of it, fgrep and egrep, but really all you care about is grep. What grep does is it looks inside files. So we talked about find previously. Find looks at file names, which are the outside of files. grep looks at file contents and searches for matching strings. And then its output shows specifically lines that had a match on them. So this is super useful. It's always available to you. It's lightweight. It's fast. It can do a lot of different things with the right options. And it works seamlessly in Linux/Unix pipelines. This is something we haven't discussed much, but an important use case in Linux is that commands have standard in and standard out. When they write their output, that output can immediately go into the next command, and you can form a chain where data flows from one to the next, being transformed at each step until you have what you finally want. I'll show an example of that a little bit later. So the main thing to know is grep is always available. Typically, there's two versions of grep, depending on what kind of Linux system you're on. One is the native grep that came with that OS. For instance, on the Mac, there is a grep. It is Mac specific. It follows almost all the rules of the regular grep. And by the regular grep, I mean the one written by and for GNU. That's the other grep. GNU grep might not be installed on your system. You might just have the platform grep, but you almost always can install GNU grep, either using apt or homebrew or whatever is the right package manager for your system. So grep is pretty simple. starts with the word grep, and then usually there's some options, which I'm just going to list as the word options there. And then there's a pattern, and then you list one or more files. So for instance, the options are totally optional. I can look for MIT in license.md. And I didn't find it. Let's cat license to see what we might find. Oh, this is Creative Commons. So let's grep for CC in license.md, and it finds the line that has the CC on it. It was hard for me to locate that CC in the output. We can fix that by giving an option. One of the options to grep is color, and I'll give color a value. Color equals always. Let's look for CC in license. And now CC is colored red in this output. I can show the line numbers. So let's start with what we had before. And this time, let us add minus n. There's a longer form, which I think is minus line dash numbers. But minus n shows this little piece, which wasn't there before. It's on line 1 of that file. You can search case insensitively. If I say grep minus I, I'm going to make it be color. And this time, I see HTTPS a couple times in the file, or HTTP, but they're all lowercase. I'm going to look for capital HTTP in hopes that I'll find the lowercase one. And here are the ones that it found, lowercase, 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 because I used minus I to search insensitively. I can do that same search, except instead of minus I can count the matches. So I'll use minus C. I didn't say minus I this time, so it didn't match any at all. So I'm also going to say minus I. And now it found 1, which is surprising to me.
That's one line.
Oh, I see what you say. Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, I can also search in a directory all the way down. So I can search recursively. So grep minus R, and let's say I want to look for, I'm going to make it insensitive. I want to find any use of the word path anywhere in, and you can see up here at the top, this is what's left of the list of directories that were in my current directory, and bash is one of them. So I'm going to search in the bash directory for any use of the word path. I'm now going to color it. And you see it shows up in some places like resolved underscore path and bat config path and cd path. If you want to find just a single word, you can say -w. So let's do all the same thing, except now with -w. So now it only finds path when it's a word by itself. It doesn't find CD path. It doesn't find all of those other things that we looked at. It turns out that grep can also search for regular expressions. Now, a regular expression is a complicated way of describing a whole collection of strings. It's too complicated to get into today, but it turns out that there is a mug video presentation that is on grep. I am pasting into the chat a link to that video. And if you want to know more about regular expressions, which grep will find naturally, you don't need to give any options. If you supply a regular expression instead of just a plain string, grep will search for the regular expression. There are a couple of interesting options that only really are worthwhile when you're searching for regular expressions. For instance, let's actually look for a regular expression that is command. It's not really a regular expression, but I see it here in the text. I'm going to search for commands grouped by path in the bash directory. It finds a couple. If I had described some complicated arrangement of things that was longer than just a word, but maybe variable length, I could use the -o option to only show that part of the line that matched. When you're just searching for a fixed string, it's not very helpful. But if you're searching for something that could be variable length and has interesting parts inside it that might be optional, this -o option is incredibly useful. I'm now going to show you how it works with pipes. There is a command called history. History prints out the commands you've issued. There are some options that control what commands get remembered or not, but we've done several here. You can see that many of them start with the word grep. I can take history and I can pipe it into grep, but I can say -v, which means only show me the lines that don't match the pattern I'm about to give you, and then say grep. So that should give me a history that ignores 806 through 816. And it does. It was ignoring 806 through 816. Now it stops at 805. A great reason to do that is if I make a function called did, which I think I have to put parens on like that. and I say history into grep minus v did. So what I'm looking for is every entry in the history that didn't include the word did. And then I want to find, so I'm going to call grep twice. I want to find anything that was on my command line. And I'm going to print that out. So now I don't know what I did. I have a did already. I'm going to copy it. History into grep minus v did into grep $at. I feel like that's what I did before. Apparently not. So we are not.
You got
You're
a
missing a
comment
single
there.
quote.
Yeah, there. Yep.
Okay, I think I can fix that by yeah, there's something wrong, and I don't know what.
There was a comment in the chat. You need to put a semicolon before the closing bracket.
Do I? Let's find out.
So before the, yeah, right there. Yep. Let's see if that works. Yeah, it took
All
it
right.
that time.
So now I can say did grep, and every command listed has grep in it. So I've only seen the ones with grep. If I say did get, these are only commands I ran that had get in it. If I specifically want to find just my get log commands, I can make a string in quotes like that. And if I want to, because I said this $at thing, that means I can pass many params. So I can say did minus minus color equals always get log, and now get log gets colored. So the things that you have learned from this is that you can pipe the output of one command into grep. You can make grep give you the opposite, only lines that didn't match, and you can use grep multiple times in the same command.
Because you're outputting, you're typing the output of one grep into the input of the next grep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you can do that over and over again instead of using regular expressions to find exactly what you want if you don't feel like regular expressions are within your scope of powers. When you need to, as you've probably noticed, grep, these are history numbers, they're not line numbers. When you search a particular file, so for instance, I got a lot of things going on in here, sorry. Let's just tree bash. So here's a file, get.bash. I'll cat it for you first. So that's in bash /.bash topics.d get.bash. And you can see there's a lot of stuff in there. And what I want to do is I want to find everything that says top level. So grep top level in bash /.bash topics.d get.bash. But I want that to be colored. So that's better. And I want to print out the file name that these finds happened in. So to print the file name, I print -n. Oh, that's the line number. The file name is -r. So now it tells, this is getting really close to being something you can directly open in your editor. I can save this whole thing into a file called matches.txt, and then in Nano, I can open matches.txt, and then I can, oh, I don't want color. You probably can't see that I opened up a Vim window.
You're editing the command. Yeah.
So I got rid of color always. Oh, and it all went into matches.txt. So now I can nano matches.txt, and now I can actually see these files. Now, I don't use Nano that much, so I don't know if Nano can open this particular format of, it's kind of a link. But I do know that if I'm using Vim, I can grep -rn top level and instead of saving it to matches.txt, I can send it into Vim. That minus means read from standard input. And if I do copen, it's not doing the right thing. That's unfortunate. I don't want to investigate deeper. But what I do want to mention is there are alternatives to grep. I don't want to go into any of the details of them, The main reason not to use them is they won't be there for you when you log into a remote, untouched system. They have advantages. For instance, my favorite is called RipGrep, and it is very fast and does a lot of interesting things, but you have to install it. If you are working with a Virgin system, you won't have installed it, so you won't have it. There are a couple other interesting ones to use. I use RipGrep myself because my systems are totally under my own control, but I work with people who are constantly touching machines that are managed by someone else, and they can't just install anything they want. They have to make an argument for it. So it's a lot easier to work with the defaults. The thing I would like to do right at this moment is I would like to open up the floor for questions on grep, because certainly I have left you with some, as this was just a taster of what grep can do for you. So who has questions?
I have a comment.
Yes.
When I use grep, sometimes I'll use -C followed by a number. That gives you context. So when
it is
you
a
search for
very
something,
useful command.
yeah, when you search for something, it might, you might do like -C3. It'll give you 3 lines of context above and below the match. So
in fact, let's do that right now. Do I just say equals, or do I just put the number right there?
Space 3. I think you could do just -3 as well, and it would take that to mean. But anyway.
So now, it turns out some of these top level calls are right next to each other.
Yeah.
But this one has 3 lines of context.
Yeah. After and before.
This one has at least 3 lines of context going up. They happen to overlap. It's super useful. It's the same kind of option you get when you do a universal diff. It's very helpful.
Yeah. Another thing I use all the time. Hardly a day goes by where I'm not using grep, but I use -R for recursive, and I'll search for something through my entire source tree, and -R is super valuable to me. One
thing that I do is I will use find minus. I hope I'm remembering the parameters to this right.
You might have to do a // in front of it, or is your first argument to tell it where you want to start finding.
Let's pretend I'm using find.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
And let us pipe that into grep, looking only for git.
Okay.
So here, find F is only finding file names. So grep is only looking at file names that contain the word git. But if instead of saying that and I pass the files into grep with xargs, then I look in only bash files and find only in those bash files every place where it said the word git. here it says lget, and here it says git. So minus W for finding a word. Yes, it would ignore lget, but it would find git, so it would still return this particular thing, but it wouldn't return anything in forget.bash. So let's try the same command, but this time with minus W. And now forget is not there. This is another case of command output going into the next command. We're going to talk a lot more about this next month. I think it's next month when we're talking about pipes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So other questions?
Gibbs got his hand up.
Yeah.
Gib?
So how about formatting output? Yeah, I'm an old COBOL programmer, and I'm used to be able to controlling where columns appear and inserting text and things like that. So is it easy to format the output?
Okay. There is, in the tool I use, RipGrep, there's a replace option. So when you match just the specifically matched content of the regular expression, you can output it exactly the way you want with additional strings and fields. I don't know if grep itself does that, but I do know that the general answer to your problem is awk.
Yeah. Type the output of grep into awk and do all your
Okay.
formatting with awk.
All right, thanks. Appreciate it.
Anything else?
There's a
How
comment.
about,
go
sorry,
ahead.
how about minus E to search for more than one string at a time?
Does minus E do that, or does it add another regular expression for you to find? Let's take a look. Minus capital E or minus lowercase e?
I use lowercase e.
Well, let's find grep minus R minus E path.
Oh, I don't see that in the man page.
Finds either one, right?
I think it does.
Oh, E patterns.
Not all versions do that.
Yeah, you can specify it multiple times with a pattern after each one.
So what is grep good for? It's super good for filtering logs and configs and text files and quick searching in remote sessions and basic integration with the editor of your choice. Best if the editor of your choice happens to be Vim. And it's pretty powerful and not that hard to use. It becomes super useful, especially when you're used to an editor like Visual Studio Code, and that editor is not running on your remote system. You would have used Find Everywhere or Find In Files, and you can't. So instead, you use grep. And I think that's about all I've got to say. I think regular expressions are very interesting. I hope that you take the time to watch that video I posted the link to in the chat. And feel free to send questions to board@mug.org. And I or one of the others will get to it.
Yeah.
And I think that's it for me.
That's excellent. Thank you.
Thanks,
All right,
Wolf.
I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Okay. So now I can start sharing mine. Because now we move on to QR codes. Oh, geez. Let's see. Which is that one?
Oh, Wolf, do you know the derivation of the name grep?
I do.
Oh, good.
In fact, it the way I heard it, it comes from Vim, and when you are looking for lines in general, your command starts with the letter G, and then there's a slash, and you put a regular expression, so RE, and then another slash, and then typically you print that, so P. So what you've got left is GREP, grep. So it comes from the general description of a Vim command.
Okay.
That's the way I heard it anyway.
That's one.
I heard it very similar, but it was way before Vim came about. It was the original ED line editor. G was for global, then the slash RE for the regular expression. Slash is how you did a forward search, and P, as you say, is print. So if you're looking for all of the lines in ED, which is not, it's not VI like, but the syntax is there, then you do the global search for some regular expression and print the lines that you found.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's
that
very
sounds
similar. Yeah.
right.
What I heard, what I've always thought it came from was grep is global regular expression parser.
That's the first time I've ever heard that.
Really? Boy, I've heard that for years and years and years. Global regular expression parser.
I always
I thought
heard
the
it
G
as
was I thought the G was grand.
Grand? Well, according to Wikipedia, it comes from the ed command, G/RE/P. And really ed is kind of the precursor to EX, which is the precursor to Vim. So yeah, that's it. Interesting. I don't know where I got mine. I've heard it for years and years though. Anyway, excellent presentation, Wolf. Appreciate it. So can you guys see my screen now? You see a little slideshow I've got?
Yes.
Yep.
Anybody?
Yes,
Okay.
we can see it.
The thing about Zoom, when I share my screen, it goes into a weird mode. I can't see what's being shared. I can see my screen, but I can't always tell if it's shared. But yeah, apparently it is. Okay, so I've got only a handful of slides.
Jim, just a hint. So in the past, I brought up another web browser and displayed what I'm seeing on another web browser.
Yeah, that seems like too much trouble. I just need to get used to how Zoom works. Other screen sharing things work a little different. Anyway, so QR codes. We're going to just talk a little bit about them. We're going to generate some, and yeah. Okay, so QR code stands for Quick Response Code. Developed in '94 at DensoWave. It's free to use for anybody to use. They kind of put that out there. They license it that way to promote widespread adoption. And boy, did that work! You can't go anywhere without seeing a QR code now. You see them on buses and billboards and phone books and everything. QR codes have much higher limits than the old standard barcodes, the old 3 of 9 barcodes and all the others. Those were typically, like 12 characters long or not very long. QR codes can be much, much longer. I mean, look at that. You can do a 7,089 character string of numbers. I'm not sure why you'd want to do that. Maybe you're trying to represent pi out to the 7,089th place. Anyway, it's capable of much, much more information than the other types of barcodes. I'll give you a couple of examples. Here's a simple one. Can you guys scan that with your phone? Well, first of all, do you all know that Android and iOS phones have had the ability to scan QR codes with the camera? You don't need any special software. You just use the camera and point at it, and you can scan it. And if you scan that one, can you see it?
Yes, that works.
Where did it take you?
Mug.org.
There you go. It's I'll show you how I generated that in a couple of minutes. Here's a QR code with a bit more information. This has got 1,852 characters. You can try and scan that. My scanner, when I tried it, it didn't much like it. I'm not even sure what the text is.
Can't get it to work.
Yeah, it comes up kind of weird. Anyway, you can have lots and lots of data in a QR code. Here's a QR code. This is a frame QR code where you can embed an image in the middle of it, which is really kind of handy if you're a marketing type and you want to show something cute inside. I'm going to show you how to generate those in a couple of minutes. QR codes are everywhere. Like I said, even on the roof of the Facebook headquarters, they got a QR code up there. I don't remember anymore what that QR code says. I think it might say hack. Anyway, you can do that. So my last slide, here's just some resources. The Wikipedia article on QR codes is fantastic. It covers all kinds of information about how they work and all the different formats and encoding and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to show you a little Python script today that I created that basically came out of that second URL. It's a pretty neat little thing. And then those last two describe in great detail the QR code format. You can, if you read those, you can actually take a QR code and read it by hand, like read it with your own naked eye. I don't expect you to read that QR code with 1,852 characters, but you could certainly read the one I generated for mug.org. Okay, so let's get out of the slides and let's go have some fun. I'm gonna increase my font size a little bit here. I've got a couple of scripts, one written in Perl, one written in Python, or two actually written in Perl, and I'm gonna put these up on the Mug GitHub site. It's not up there yet, but it will be when I'm done. Let's go look at the simple one in Perl. Is my font size big enough for you?
Could be a little bigger. That's better, yeah.
How's that? Is that better? Okay, so let's take a look at the first one, the Gen QR code. The very simple script. This is Perl. I program Perl all the time, so I'm really comfortable with it. The only thing you have to have is this package installed. This Perl module. So it's really simple. We got a string we're going to pass it, where we're going to put our output. We generate it. This is it. This is the command right there that takes the string and generates an out file. Right? You can't get a whole lot simpler than that. Let's go ahead and run it. Gen QR code. I run it and it generated it. So there's my QR code file right here. It's only 240 bytes. It's not terribly big. Now, I'm doing this on a remote machine because I'm running on a Mac, and I had trouble getting the Perl stuff to work on a Mac. There was a library that I needed that I couldn't seem to get my hands on. So over on my Mac now, I'm going to just copy it from the app machine. Let's just do this. Let's take Perl / let's see, what was that file? Mug QR code.png. Copy to my local directory. So I've got that 240 byte file. If I open it, there's the QR code. I think if I make it bigger, you'll be able to see it better. You can scan that with your phone. It's the same code that was in the presentation in the slide. It basically says HTTPS. Yeah, it basically says this. I mean, it's exactly what it says. Okay, so it's a URL. QR codes can be any data you want. we're using HTTPS, and what happens is, at least on the iPhone and apparently on the Android, when the camera reads a QR code that has an HTTPS URI or scheme, it'll launch the web browser and display that it'll pass that URL to the browser and open it. So it's really handy. You can do all kinds of things with the string, though. Let me take a look at this one. I'm using that's the wrong one. Let's open that. I use this instead. It's a telephone number. Okay, so TEL colon, and if I generate this one, watch. It created a file called telephone.png. So I'm going to close that guy. Let's go grab telephone. And go ahead and scan that with your phone. And I'm just going to try it with mine just to make sure it actually works. And what you should get, I know for sure it works on an iPhone. What you should get with that is the phone app. If you click on it, the phone app will actually offer to dial that number for you. If you dial it, you actually get the number has been disconnected. So you can imagine the marketing potential for QR codes. You can put phone numbers in there. You can put websites in there. One of the cool things you can put in there is Wi-Fi information. Let's see. I have. I got that up here somewhere. Let me just find it real quick. QR code for Wi-Fi. Here's one. This is I'm gonna show you a part of a page from just a second here. Part of a page from Wikipedia. Bring that over into here and let me increase my font size. If instead of where I did a HTTPS or a TEL colon, if you can do a string like this in a QR code, and what it'll do is if you point your if you point your cell phone at that, it will configure. It'll actually offer to configure your Wi-Fi connection. So, I mean, here the example is my SSID and the password is my password. But you can, if you have like a public Wi-Fi that you want to offer for your guests, let's say you're running a restaurant or even at home, you want to give Wi-Fi to your friends when they come over, you can put it in a QR code. And all they got to do is point their phone at the QR code and that'll get them on the Wi-Fi.
So, Jim, will that work with both an Android phone and an Apple phone?
I believe it will. I know for sure it works with an iPhone, and I believe it'll work. In fact,
it
it says
typically works with Android because I use them all the time.
Yeah. It's supported by Android and iOS 11.
And what about on a laptop? With a camera on a laptop?
I don't know if your laptop camera is going to do that. Like on an iPhone, you got that camera that you just click on the icon. I don't know what app you would use on your laptop to do that.
Huh.
Why would you want to?
Well, because you want to put your laptop on the public Wi-Fi or on the hotel Wi-Fi or restaurant.
So you're going to hold your laptop up to the wall where the
either that or type it all in, which
which you can do. But if you're looking for a way to simplify things, at least for letting your iPhone join the Wi-Fi, You can't get much easier than that. Point your camera at it and you're on.
So
good to
Jim,
go.
is this just something then that is programmed into the camera app on the phones? And is this just then a 2D barcode behind it?
Well, it's a QR code. It's a form of two-dimensional barcode. Yeah.
But is it different other than the top line, which
it's just this, no, it's just the string. It's just, I mean, I can take this string. I don't know why there's 2 semicolons there. If I take that string, let's copy gen QR code to gen QR code Wi-Fi. And let's replace that. Put that in there instead. Let's call it Wi-Fi. Let's just get rid of all that. Okay. And now if I run it, I got Wi-Fi.png, so let's go ahead and download that. Open Wi-Fi. So there you go. Now, I don't know what's going to happen if you try pointing your phone at that. I'm going to give it a try. Point your phone at that. Join my SSID network. I'm going to click that, and it pops up a little dialogue asking if I want to join.
Oh, well, I was going to say, if you drop off the connection here, we'll know why.
Yeah, well, I was doing it on my phone. But yeah, I mean, at least in the phones, it's programmed to, the camera is programmed to look at that and recognize that it's a Wi-Fi and pass it on to the networking software to get you logged into that Wi-Fi.
And so I'm sure you're getting to this next, but then does it, everything after that, it send in 2 as parameters for whatever URL you hit with that?
Yeah. You know, if I wanted to imagine QR Wi-Fi, I mean, if I didn't want my SSID, let's say it was McQuillan, that's my Wi-Fi, my Wi-Fi at home, and then here the password, some goofy password. That's obviously not my password, but I can put whatever I want there. And I wouldn't do this for a secure Wi-Fi, you know, for something you want to keep secure and private. But if you offer guest access, you know, hotels do it all the time, right? In restaurants, you walk into a restaurant and there's always, many times, a sign on the wall says, if you want to join our Wi-Fi, here's the ESS ID and here's the password. Well, instead of doing that, just have the patrons point their phone at a QR code that embeds that information in it. It's pretty useful.
And one time I had an older Android phone, and you needed a separate app to
you used to.
But now
an app,
they build all that functionality right into the camera apps.
Yeah, it kind of put that app out of business, didn't it? There's not much use for that app that could read them. So yeah, the camera that's built into the iPhones, the software that runs the camera will read those, and do something. Try to do something intelligent with it. As I showed, if it starts with TEL : it's going to hope that it's a phone number and pass it on to the dialer app. If it thinks it's a website because it starts with HTTP or HTTPS, it's going to pass it on to the web browser. If it starts with OTP AUTH, it's going to pass it on to your password manager for doing a one-time password. You know, some of you guys have probably set up one-time passwords with an authenticator app. When you do that, part of the process is they tell you to scan that little QR code to complete the process. All that does is the camera sees that, and it opens up your password app, whatever password app you've got chosen as your default, to add that one-time password authentication information. Very, very handy. Much better than typing in a string of 40 characters to your password manager app, trying to convince it to do one-time passwords. In fact, coming up sometime probably around March or April, I'm going to give a little presentation on how to do one-time passwords. I had to integrate that into my system, both as a web portal. My system is for patients at medical clinics, and the patient portal now supports one-time passwords, as well as two-factor using SMS or email. But one-time passwords is the most secure. So I went through quite a bit of work to figure out how to do that, both as a web-based app and as a mobile app. We did it on iOS and Android, doing TOTP, the time-based one-time password. So I'm going to give a talk on that in a few months. And I'll show a little bit about QR codes at that point too. Anyway, so that's kind of our simple QR codes. If I open that guy again, that's just a very simple QR code. There's not very much, there's how long is my string there? 40 characters, whatever that is. That's what's embedded in there. I can do the shorter one, open mug. Can I open them both at the same time? Yeah. You see that the density is a little bit different because there's more characters in it. I think. Let's get them about the same size so we can kind of compare them. This Wi-Fi one is more dense because it's got more data in it. Interesting little thing. Okay, so that's kind of how to do it in Perl. Like I said, you got to have this module, and then you call that function, and man, you're done. And there's a lot of options to this module that you can specify sizes and stuff. But that's just like your basic QR code. So now let's get into the Python one because that generates a cooler one. And I am not a Python programmer, but I did manage with a little bit of help from Wolf. He's over the years he's tried to teach me a little bit of Python, and I did manage to get this thing working. It all came. It all came from this URL. So if you're really interested in how this thing works, I encourage you to clone this from the Mug GitHub site and follow that link. You got to install a couple of modules. A module called Pillow, which is for some imaging stuff, and a module called QR Code, which generates the QR code. We set up the same URL like I did in the first one, and give it an out file, but we're going to give it a logo to go in the middle of the QR code. So let me run it, and then I'll come back and explain it. So let's run it, Gen. Okay, and that created this guy. So let's go download it. CPAT. Oh, let's just do it that way. It's easier. Mug QR code with logo.png. And if you look, it's a little bit bigger than the other ones, right? This one's 11K because it's got an image embedded in it. So let's open it. Mug QR code with logo. Look at that. That's kind of cute, isn't it? Anybody listening?
Yep. I can hear you.
Yeah. So point your browser at that or your phone at that.
Yeah.
It'll take you to the same site. But what's cool is you can put anything you want in there. Any image you want. I just went and stole the logo from the Mug website, downloaded it, and put it in my directory here. In fact, this is it right here. In fact, it's a big file. It's 142K. But here I named the file. That's my logo file. Okay, we open the file. So we got a logo. We start adjusting the image size. We actually will reduce that image down to a much smaller image so it fits into our QR code. That's that's all this math that's going on here. All right. In fact, that's the math for resizing it. Then we actually do the resize, and then we generate the QR code. Right here, we generate a QR code, and it's internal. It's got some error correction in it. I haven't really looked too much at what all these constants will do for us. We basically generate a QR code, or start, generating the internal QR code. We add the URL to it. Here we're adding data to the QR code. We make the QR code. Then we start playing with the colors. We turn the QR code green. You can see that the QR code is green, right? So that's what's going on here. We make the image in green. We set the size of the QR code. That's what's going on here. Based on the logo size, the image size minus the logo size. I haven't really thought too much about the code. I just stole this directly from that website. We paste the logo at a position within the QR code, and then we save it to a file. And that's it. That is the entire thing. 66 lines of code, and we created a nice little QR code, a frame QR code with an image in the middle of it.
Can you show us, Cat, out that the output file, what that looks like?
Well, it's sure. It's a. Is it
a bitmap?
It's a PNG.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I mean, yeah, I can.
Oh, okay.
It's a PNG file. I don't really want to cat it to my screen because that'll cause all kinds of funny stuff. It's just a PNG file. That's all. You put that on you print it out and put it on stickers, or you slap it on the side of a bus, or staple it to the wall at your hotel, or put it on your patient statement so that the patient can scan that and pay their bill. Paint it on the top of your building so that people flying over in an airplane can scan it and go to Facebook.com. We haven't seen what the limits are, what you can do with it. They're just showing up everywhere. If you, let's see.
The lights were just on. You've been home for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the QR codes are really cool. I build them into all my websites now, just so
knowing my magic.
Just a simple function that can be really useful for so many things.
What's it like to just walk in and shit works?
Can you mute Justin?
Well, not Justin, but Mark.
Maybe Mark. Yeah, you just did.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I did. We don't want to mute Justin.
But yeah, I just build that in all the time now, so it's so useful whether you're making links or you want to share images or anything. And it's just especially as we have cameras on us all the time, and there's cameras everywhere. You can just instantly transfer any data that you want, really. It's just only limited by the current format.
For this, from a big customer out in Rochester, we created an Android and an iOS mobile app, so the patients can use the mobile app, and they can use it to schedule appointments, or view their lab results, or communicate with the office, or all kinds of stuff. Fill out health history forms. They can do all kinds of neat stuff with this mobile app. So the big thing was, how do we get patients to even know about it? So at the front desk, I generated a QR code with a special URL that basically it goes to the App Store, and we have two app stores, the iOS App Store and the Android App Store. So what my URL does is it actually goes to a URL at my customer, and then that's a CGI script that figures out what kind of device you're coming from. And if you're coming from an iPhone, it'll do a redirect and send you to the Apple App Store. And if you're coming from an Android device, it'll do a different redirect and send you to the Android App Store, Google Play Store, whatever. I forget what the App Store is on Android. So very easily, they just scan that QR code and boom, they're in the App Store pointing at the app that we created. Then they install the app and away they go. Really nice way to direct people to websites or app stores or to pay their bill or whatever.
What does this app that they download actually do?
The app it's a patient app so that they can schedule appointments at the practice, or they can pay their bill or view their results from their visit. All the things that a patient would want to do. All the stuff that you could do on the patient portal, you can do on the app. And on our patient portal, at the bottom of we've got the QR code. Like if I go there. Let's see. We go there. Right here, on the portal, they can click on one of these things to go directly to the App Store, or they can just point their camera at this QR code here, and it'll take them to the appropriate App Store. So if they're on the portal, they'll get a much better experience in the app, because the portal's kind of crappy, but the app is a much better experience for them.
I just shared a link. I'm not sure which Python package you used. I might have missed that, but there's one that's on GitHub that's got some really cool options. You can do all sorts of visual things with the library as it is, and like just totally change the way the QR code looks.
There's well, this is the one. This is not on. It's this. It's just some package called QR code. I don't know if it's on GitHub or where it resides. You said you included the
yeah, pip install QR code. Yeah, it's the same one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
it looks like there's a ton of stuff.
I posted a link out there for QR code art, AI art. Real pretty little kitten on there that's actually QR code that you can actually scan. So, rather than do like a bunch of blocks that are ugly and stuff, getting to the point where, this might even be like in videos and in, artwork, or, just wallpaper as you walk along. You put that in your office and scan this wall or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I've done a lot of barcodes, but I've always wanted to know how to do the ones with the image embedded in the middle of it. And so just like this evening before the meeting, I went and found that Python library, or the Python script basically, to do that. So now I have this in my toolbox. I can generate new QR codes for my customers that contain their logo, which I'm kind of excited to tell them about it, because I think it just sort of makes it, to me, it sort of adds a little bit of professional flair to it, and I think they're going to like that. I didn't think I was going to find a free way to do images inside the QR code. I'm quite happy that I did. I think you can even do like round images, and like the shape that you carve out for that image. There's all kinds of options for it. And then there's like round QR codes, and I don't know how they do it all, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's there's also just like research into high capacity color barcodes or other ways to just like, pack more information in. I saw an article about just using color on QR codes can like triple the capacity. Yeah, I think it's interesting applications in like augmented reality stuff too, right?
Sure.
Or even in VR, just like anywhere where you have like that visual medium.
Yeah, I think to me, QR codes should generally be kind of short. I mean, that example that I showed of that QR code with that really, really dense one. I'm not sure what the practical use is for that. I'm sure somebody finds it useful. But I always think of the QR codes as a link or something to get you to the resource that you really want to get to. You're not going to write a magazine article in a QR code. You're going to point them at a website that contains that article.
Yeah, some kind of reference or anchor point. I've seen them used for like visual orientation. So like if a camera can recognize a QR code, that means, it's up or down or something like that.
Yeah.
And there's similar technology. If you have an iPhone, you might have like transferred from one iPhone to another.
Yeah.
And it will authenticate that step with a visual pattern that, basically just communicates a large number that it knows and can calculate and says, oh, yep, that's the one.
Yeah, and if you're setting up an Apple Watch, it displays that. It's a weird thing. It's not a QR code, but it's
it's a custom
weird.
Apple point cloud.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So in this era, we've been struggling mightily to train people not to click on URLs that come in email.
Yeah.
Is this a security thing?
Yes.
Well, it's just as insecure as somebody typing in or clicking on a link.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. It is the same as a link, and maybe worse because it can be other things as well. And like
it can easily be hidden without you seeing it.
Yeah, it can be easily hidden. Systems can have all sorts of like ways to interpret it, and maybe there'd be bugs in old systems, and
Well, but you see what the text is before you click it. You see the URL.
A good application will do that. Yeah, exactly.
Well, like the camera for the iPhone shows you what you're going to do. It shows you where it's going to lead you. But
it gives you a hint at least. Yeah.
Who looks at it? Yeah.
And it doesn't tell you what the JavaScript in it does.
No.
Most of them are short codes these days.
If you don't trust the person who's showing you the QR code, don't go to it. But in most cases, you can trust. I haven't heard of QR codes being used for illicit purposes. Like
they print them out on stickers.
They've been doing that for a long
stickers.
They've been used in the wild for nefarious purposes.
Well, can you code in them? Your 1852 characters, can you put in a piece of code that would execute on the platform?
Well, the interpreter would have to execute it however you want. So
whatever scans that code is gonna do whatever it knows how to do. It's gonna take you to a web page. It's gonna take you to one-time password setup. It's gonna take you to Wi-Fi network settings.
You could make one that automatically puts all of that into your Python repo and executes it blindly.
If your camera knows how to do that, right?
Yeah, which is just an app that uses your camera and
But in general, I don't think you're gonna get people executing arbitrary code with their camera. I mean,
not the like platform native camera, but if you download a third party one,
Sure. I think a lot of people don't know that they can just use their camera and their phone to scan these things.
Yeah, it's funny how it started as like a weird feature that you had to have in the app form. Now it's just like native.
So it's become real popular. My wife watches a TV show that millions of people watch, and they're doing this thing where they put a QR code in the corner of the picture and say scan this, and then you can order the stuff that we're showing. And millions of people are doing this now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, remember back in the 90s when URLs started showing up on everywhere, right? This is just the next iteration of that.
There's a website I regularly use for optimizing videos on my desktop, but then then of course when you are able to download, click the download button to download the optimized video to your desktop. It also throws up a QR code, and very often it gives me the download URL on my phone now. So now I don't have to transfer that video from my desktop to my phone. Boom, it's downloading directly on my phone.
Pretty cool, huh? It's where's it going? I have no idea. You're seeing it everywhere now.
I use it to generate WireGuard keys for specific clients, and then I take a picture on the phone, and it connects to my personal VPN running here.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah, that's if you want to try it out, it's on a Raspberry Pi. There's a culled down version of the OS, which is called Diet Pi. And Diet Pi has a Pi VPN package which does that.
Okay, and it's basically WireGuard under the hood.
Yeah, it hits a script and it generates the key, and then it turns it into a QR code which you can use in the WireGuard client on a phone.
Huh. I know, if you want to, I've got a bunch of home automation stuff set up here. I can turn on lights, fans, and all kinds of stuff. And when you set that up, part of the setup process is scan the QR code on the device, on the camera or on the light switch. Scan the QR code as part of the setup, and that's how it identifies that particular device. I think probably what's in there is like a MAC address or something to uniquely identify that particular device from all the other devices you might have. Sure better than typing in a long string.
Yep.
And if you're trying to set up a whole bunch of devices, having to do this discovery process where you're sitting there waiting for it to go out to the network and find all the devices that are, sending out the beacon or whatever to be paired. Just scan the QR code on that device and you got it. So more questions? Anything else you want me to try?
For me, I find it frustrating because I don't use my phone for a lot of stuff. I'm a desktop kind of person.
Yeah.
And who has the best way that I can take my Pixel phone, Android, and shoot a barcode and then be able to use it on my desktop without going through 20 different gyrations? So far, the best I got is to bookmark the page in Chrome. And that syncs
and then it syncs to your desktop. Yeah.
Does Android not have handoff?
I don't know what handoff is.
Like on an iPhone, if you copy something, you can immediately hit paste on your Mac and you get it.
Yeah.
I don't think such a thing exists.
Well, I guess you got to switch to Apple.
You can use theoretically, you can use KDE Connect to do that.
Get out your credit card.
Yes, that's what I was just asking if that's what you want. I use KDE Connect. I find it miraculous between my Linux box, my Windows box, my Android phone, my Android tablet. I even put information on my website about it. Yeah,
there you go.
What's it called?
Because I'm very fond of it.
What's it called so I can Google it right now?
There's a link in the chat. KDE Connect.
Thank you.
Connect.
That's the
Project that
one.
enables all your devices. There you go.
I'm kind of like the gnome kind
Now, I don't know if it will work with BSD.
of guy.
I don't know. Does it require KDE?
No. Well, it probably requires some KDE dependencies, but it does not require the KDE
Right.
desktop to be running.
Can I use KDE Connect on GNOME? You can use this functionality on GNOME by installing a GNOME shell extension called GS Connect, which essentially replicates KDE Connect's features within the GNOME. So there's a thing called GS Connect.
You can run it on your Linux desktop. You can run it on Windows. You can run it on your Android. You can run it on your iOS. You can run it on Mac OS. Even a few things you've never heard of. You can run it on Plasma Mobile, which is a Linux mobile platform. You can run on Sailfish OS.
This is interesting right here. KDE Connect is available on all major distributions and works on all desktop environments. GNOME users might prefer using GS Connect.
Yeah, I might give
sounds
that
like KDE Connect will work. Yeah. See, that was worth the cost of coming here tonight. That's kind of neat. So more questions? Anything you want to see before I stop sharing? I will be pushing this up to the Mug GitHub site, which is for all you guys. It's just
I'm wondering if like a restaurant could use this as a menu, right? It's not just bringing up a picture of the menu, but actually placing the order. You know, scan this code to get your cheeseburger.
Yeah, just link to your website or your app clip or something like that.
Yeah, I'm sure you'd have to. It would bring up a website, probably.
A website, right? And then which has encoded in the query string the hamburger.
Yeah, you can encode the query
it should take you. Yeah, it should take. Yeah, I mean, if they do it right, it should take you right to a website with that item selected and a button that says "Order Now." And you click it and pay for it with your Google Wallet or Apple Pay. And
yeah, I wonder if this is just going to get to the point eventually where you're just anything you want, you just find it on a wall or something and take a picture of it, and you've got it. You know, or you go to a hotel, or you go to the airport, or anything like that. You just find the QR code you want, and select it, and off you go.
They ought to put QR codes on license plates, right? So that the cops can just scan the QR code, or the cameras above.
I think they already have like a bar on the back of the the driver's license, right? So you're taking the plate on the car.
Yeah.
Well, they already get that. I mean, that if you go through like a toll road or something like that scans the license plate.
But that's reading the license plate.
Okay, so you're taking action after it's taken the plate. So it does. I mean, actually, it's charging you automatically. So
it does, but it seems like QR code's got error correction built into it. So I mean, you can have a damaged QR code; it'd still read it.
Yeah,
seemed like a little bit of mud. It could throw it a long way off, though.
Yeah, but if look what it can do to just try to optically read the plate itself.
Yeah,
that seems to me to be error prone, especially with all the different states, all the different plates, all the different colors. God, there's like 7 different plates just for Michigan. I don't know how those things read them. Anyway, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen so we can just have a conversation.
Yeah, I guess eventually that's going to be the way it works, right? They're going to have some kind of encoding on the license plate to make sure it's unique, right?
Yeah.
At this point, you have to know which state it is, and then you have to be able to read every one of the characters. And you're like, you're right.
Oh, yeah.
It's not repetitive or error correcting or anything.
Yeah, yeah. Pretty soon you're getting bills for somebody else's travel through their state.
Saw a funny article on the news that somebody had come up with the NCC 1701 license plate on their car. And then, okay, so now, all right, so that's unique enough, right, that anybody will recognize what that is. Well, then what somebody was doing is they were selling fake license plates with that NCC 17, not as for people to actually mount as their license plate, but as a display thing to put on your wall or whatever. But then people were actually putting it on their cars. So this person that actually had the NCC 1701 registered as their license plate was getting all kinds of violations sent to them, like getting calls from people trying to get their money from the government entities and all that stuff. Just crazy. Thousands of dollars a month. So yeah, I don't know if there's any way to prevent that. It's almost like you need a unique, well, what we do, two-factor authentication kind of thing for your car, right? Yeah. So how do we get that? Is that that's even beyond barcode, is some kind of unique way of
like an RFID. Well, like the Easy Pass, it's kind of like that's basically RFID.
Yeah.
Thank you.
See, that's something something that can be replicated very easily, right?
Yeah.
So that's one of the things with encryption. You have the
well, you need
code. You have to hide it in a place.
You need an NFT.
Yeah.
There you go.
I have to say that this meeting has been absolutely enjoyable.
Good. I'm glad you're enjoying it. You feel like you learned something?
Absolutely. I'm going to be playing with it for the next couple of weeks.
And that's just, I've been doing it in Perl for a couple of years now, and you saw how simple that was. And just in 2 hours ago, I learned how to do it in Python, and there's all kinds of other solutions out there.
Well, I found one for C.
There you go.
libgren code. LIBGRENCODE. I just downloaded it, and I'll be playing with that for a while.
Yeah, there is a C library for doing it, or there's a command line utility written in C for doing it, and it was written by Tom Zaruka. You remember him?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He used to be a part of our group years ago. He ended up moving to Seattle. I don't know where he's at now, but I downloaded this utility. I started looking at it. I looked at the source code, and there's his name all over it. I was really surprised.
Yes, Richard.
Yeah, Richard, you got your hand up?
Yes. Couple of questions. I know somebody who needs someone to develop him a website where they can have products and they could purchase it, sort of like you do on Amazon.
So e-commerce site.
So does anybody know anybody that can do web pages but is good enough to be able to do that?
No,
go to Fiverr.com and hire somebody for cheap.
Yeah, there is. I used to run a website that did that, and I forget what the software was that we used. It was just some open source project that it was an online shopping app.
I don't do much with websites other than WordPress, but but this person needs somebody that they could get to do it for them.
I for that kind of thing, I would like it. What is it? Squarespace. I think you can set up a whole e-commerce site. There's a lot of them out there. Rather than programming it from scratch,
Yeah, you got to consider all the security ramifications of trying to do it on your own.
Yeah, because if you're gonna take credit card payments, you don't want to touch those. You're gonna hand that off to Stripe or Square or somebody.
That's why I want somebody that's a professional web developer that's good enough to do that sort of thing.
Richard, try guru.com. I just posted the link in the text. Guru.com is a site. Guru, as in, you're really the guy that sits on top of the mountain, and
right.
So it's basically a hire expert freelancer type site, and they rank them and all kinds of stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, now what's that? Let's see. It's in the chat, you said?
Yep. GURU.com. Guru. So if you need help with anything.
Are you talking about the one that's OTTER?
GURU.com.
Yes, the last link in the
OTTER.
I don't know where you're getting that.
AI. Is that what the one you're talking about?
No, it's the last thing in the chat.
GURU.com.
Yeah. It's not
Guru.
That's something else. Yeah, it's
Guru. I'm not seeing it. The last one I see is hi, I'm an AI assistant.
You got to scroll down.
Pardon me?
You got to scroll to chat. You're up at the top.
Down to the bottom.
Look at all that.
GURU.com. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Now you have to be careful. There's like high school students and people in Zambonia or whatever that are, trying to get you to hire them. So you have to look at the profiles and, verify and stuff like that.
Sure.
Zambonia, yeah.
That's where they created the Zamboni machine.
Yeah.
I notice a lot of independent web sites. Whenever they want to set up a shopping cart, they use something like Shopify.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to mess around with getting that wrong. That could be a nightmare.
Something that's already out there, because the last thing you want to do is be handling credit card numbers.
Yeah,
because that sets you up for all kinds of liability.
This person needs somebody that knows to use something like Shopify.
Sure.
Which I wouldn't have a clue as to how to use.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think a real popular thing is like you were saying, WordPress, and then add in stuff. But yeah, you still want to have someone who really knows how to do that.
Exactly. Don't give it to an amateur. Give it to a professional.
Yeah. Right. Well, it's simple to set up something that will accept credit cards, right? I would be very careful, though. Like I say, doing that yourself. I've done that back in the day, back before we were all worried about that type of thing. But I don't think I would approach that unless I spent a lot of time researching it.
I think that I've seen ads for GoDaddy that they'll do just that. I think you can call it.
Yeah,
GoDaddy,
I think they will.
and they'll just take all your money and whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, or Squarespace.
You could post something on Facebook and see what kind of response you get, right?
Yeah. Try this one.
What I think I liked about the freelancers and Guru is that you basically contract with someone, and then after the money is placed into like a temporary place held by Guru, and then only after you're satisfied is the money released.
Yeah.
Now, what is this you're talking about again?
So in this Guru, when you hire someone, the money is put into escrow. It's put aside. They hold it. So you don't have it anymore. The person who you're contracted with doesn't get it until you release it.
Oh,
until you say you're satisfied.
Yeah, so you're satisfied.
GURU.com. Okay. Okay.
But if you don't want to do any coding, take a look at Squarespace.com. I put a link there. That'll guide you through set up a site with online, with a store and everything. I don't know how you load the database with products. Hopefully there's a way to import your products.
Well, Amazon, you can do that too. But again, I think there's an onboarding process.
That's a sledgehammer approach, but yeah, you could do that.
Depends on how serious they are, right?
Sure.
I mean, if you want a high school student to set something up for you versus you want like, a team of people putting it together.
Yeah. I mean, how much money they want to spend. That'll dictate what they're going to end up with.
So Jim, you were talking about setting up some, portals for patients and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I've really been frustrated lately. I've had several procedures from different organizations and stuff.
Uh-huh.
It's not very nice. It's not a pleasant experience.
No.
You go to one doctor, they have a portal that they've hired someone to do, and then there's another, like a medical place that you're doing some services with, and then there's the hospital, and there's a different hospital, and they're all different portals, they're all different, sharing the information.
Nobody's sharing data. You got to fill out your health history form.
The doctors, and then the next day I went to a hospital, I had a blood test again, and they didn't look at each other's information. So you really got to solve this problem for us. This is a big hurt here.
Oh, I got to solve the problem.
Yeah, you guys. Well, the government now. I guess there's a big push now to simplify things and get rid of bureaucracy and reduce costs, all that stuff.
Sure, yeah. Elon Musk is going to straighten that all out for us.
Like in Slashdot, they're saying they found, they inventoried the systems that the government is using. They found systems that are 52 years old.
Sure.
Just really old systems.
Sure.
I worked on COBOL programs that were like 20, 25 years old.
Oh yeah.
Well, they still work. That's why they're around. There's no reason to replace those if they work.
Yeah.
Well,
so it's hard to find COBOL programs.
There was a bit, I've been in the medical world for a long time. There was a big push back around 2010 to get into. Obama was pushing this to basically clean up what you're talking about, to make integration between doctors' offices so that you fill out a health history form and you have tests done and all that stuff gets transferred around to all your other doctors, which would be great.
Yes.
Nobody's doing it.
Right.
There was some incentive for doing it. Systems had to be certified by the ONC. I don't remember what ONC stands for.
Wasn't that the big hack though? Just recently, Change Healthcare.
That was Change Health. Yeah, that was the Change Health hack, which impacted me a lot. But fortunately, we had another vendor that we were also working with, so we just switched. But it crippled the healthcare, especially pharmacies, for months and months because of the Change Healthcare hack. A third of all patient information flows through Change Healthcare.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a third anymore.
Yeah.
Because we dropped them completely. We refused to do any business with Change Health anymore because Change Health they changed their name every couple of years because they kept acquiring companies. They kept merging and they got so big and they had all these separate systems that their security was shit. They had all these systems that they said they were integrating and it was just a horrible mess. And they had developers all over the world working on it, and somebody left a door open and somebody got in. And these guys got in and destroyed, basically destroyed the company because of that, because everybody's dropping them.
A couple months ago, I changed PCPs, and I wanted the old group to send all my medical records for 20 years.
Yeah,
they were gonna send it by fax.
Oh yeah.
And well, give us their fax number. We'll fax it to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a protocol for that. There's a format for all that data to be sent, but you got to be able to generate that format. The other side has to be able to ingest that format, and it's just not happening. The privacy groups spoke up, and they don't like the fact that all this data is flowing around. So what's the choice now? Fax, right?
Do you still have to have a landline phone for that?
There's fax services out there that you can do VoIP based fax, but my experience and from what I've heard, it works about 80% of the time.
Hmm.
Yeah, it is very
Well-
unreliable to send faxes over a VoIP line.
It is. It
Most
is.
places
And
that
what do
send
you?
faxes pay for a hard line to use.
80% doesn't cut it for me. You know, there are services, online services where you can, get an account. I used to have one. I don't anymore. But basically, you can upload your scanned documents. Take a picture of it or take your PDFs or whatever, upload it to their site, and then fax it out. And those work really well. But they cost.
Yeah.
They cost more than having a phone line and a fax machine.
Hmm.
Well, speaking of that article, and speaking of one of our previous topics, I just took that Elon Musk AI health software link on one computer, copied it on my other computer. Boom! I paste it into a browser using KDE. That's getting back to the KDE Connect.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. If I were running a Linux desktop, I would certainly need to use something like that.
Well, you're on one, and I got my main Linux on the other.
Yeah.
And I have it hooked up also where my mouse pointer goes back and forth between the two. That's some other software. But boom, I just copied over one, pasted into the other computer. Boom.
Nice.
KDE Connect allows you to do that also. I thought I'd throw
That's
that
good.
out there. I really
it's
like
very
that.
cool. Yeah.
So I'm starting to fade here. I've had a cold for a week now. I think it's turning into a sinus infection. So I kind of need to sign off.
One more question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you interested in ideas for presentations?
Always. Yes.
Yes.
Always.
I have a niece that is an accessibility expert.
Yeah, she talked for us. We had her give us a presentation.
Yes, that was probably a good while ago. So I mean, if you want to do it again, that's
2 years.
another idea.
2 years ago. Yeah, it's a great idea because she was excellent. I'm going to say it was 1.5 years ago, but it might have been 5 years ago. The way my memory is.
Yeah, I can't remember how long ago it was, but yeah, she used to work for this nonprofit. Now she's working for a for-profit company that some people put together, and still doing it. So if you think that would be a good topic to do again.
Yeah, we've repeated. We've brought people back to talk again. It's certainly not something we're afraid of. I'm just looking back at.
Richard, has she offered to talk? Does she have a topic she wants to present on? Or are you just offering her?
No, the topic is accessibility on a website. Accessibility on a website. Setting up a website, designing your website so that people that are blind can read it properly with his screen reader, and having alternative text under your photographs so that when the screen reader comes to the photograph, it says a picture of a dog or whatever. And so that's a whole thing. And actually, there have been lawsuits against websites that are not usable by handicapped people. And so that's why accessibility is an important thing on a website.
Okay, thank you.
Is that Nino? Is that her name? Or is that somebody else? Okay. Well, we had accessibility and web design in 2019. I was just looking back, but I know we had your niece since then. I haven't found it in the list of previous meetings.
You should be able to grep for that, Jeff.
grab. Yeah, I should be able to. Let me just type that into Google into our webpage here.
So, at any rate, if you're
Well, there are ways of getting a web search to search a specific web address for text.
Yeah. Anyway, if you're interested in having me get her again, I can do it. If not,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, let's. I'll contact you about that.
Okay. Have you got my phone number?
I've got your email address.
Pardon me?
I've got your email.
Oh, email my Semco email address.
Let me find it so I can tell you exactly what I've got.
Because that's the best one to get me at for this sort of thing.
Yeah, Richard J at semco.org.
Yeah, right. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My other emails get so many emails. If I tried to read them all, I'd be spending all day at it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna second Richard's earlier comment. This was a great meeting tonight. Thanks, Jim, and thanks, Wolf.
Yeah. Thanks. We're trying to stress less about preparing for these meetings. And we found, because we get like 15, 18 people show up. And sometimes we'll put hours and hours and hours into preparing for a meeting, and then 18 people show up. So, and it's kind of disappointing. So we've kind of decided we're going to keep doing great presentations. We're just not going to stress over them like we used to.
Well, so our process in MD Lug is very loose. So just bring up topics and talk about them, and so I think we have a good time. Just discussing random topics. Someone will occasionally come up with a presentation, and there's like one guy who does that a lot. Much more than the rest of us.
Yeah.
There's usually someone who is kind of involved in leading some of these things, but it's very informal.
Yeah, well, we've done this for a couple of months now, and it's working out really well for us. We're enjoying it more, I think, because when we have to, really scurry around and find a presenter and stuff. And thanks, Richard, for offering your niece, and I'm sure we're going to take you up on that. But for the most part, we're just going to do a lot more meetings that are a little more casual. Like tonight was fairly casual. I didn't spend a lot of time preparing.
Right. Another suggestion is that instead of having like two presenters that each do like half the meeting, is have like real short discussions or presentations. So if you want to do 10 minutes on this, 10 minutes on that, 10 minutes on that, I think people will be more likely to want to do something if they know they're not going to be going in depth.
Yeah, we've done things before like lightning talks.
Exactly, that type of thing.
And we'll get 6 or 8 people to sign up to give a little 10-minute thing, and that works nice too. I think we're about due for another one of those.
Also, someone like Richie the Tech Man doing KDE Connect. Would be an example of something.
I'm ready for a presentation on that.
That thing.
That's a great idea.
Also, he's done a presentation for Semco on Discord. The Discord is a useful way of having discussions between meetings.
Yeah, it seems like IRC has kind of died out. I haven't heard anything about it lately. Discord seems to have replaced it.
Yeah. Well, IRC was kind of, the big player in the IRC world was Freenode, and they screwed up. They kind of made a mess of everything, and I think that drove a lot of people away. Plus, IRC is it's an old technology, and the kids these days they don't want to play around with old technology. They want the new cool stuff.
Yeah,
they want their me.
IRC is fine for me, but a lot of people, they want Twitch and Discourse or Discord and all these different things.
Mm-hmm.
Well, once you get on Discord, not only can you hook up with Semco and with MD Lug, but there are dozens of other computer groups, and it's not just computer stuff. But of course, that tends to be a lot of my interest. i3 Detroit that Richard Jackson mentioned is on there. I'm on one for WordPress, for the for what else? For Rust Desk, which is the remote desktop software. For what else? Cubes. You know, the distribution called Cubes. There's a channel just for Cubes. There's one called just plain Linux. There's one for Nextcloud. There are dozens of them once you get on. So not just Semco and MDBug can you hook up with once you're on Discord and make a free account.
It kind of reminds me of the old BBSs that we used to have.
Sure.
Yeah.
The good old days.
Yeah.
But here you can also put in bold, you can format your text bold and italic and put in videos and links. And once you put in a link to, let's say, a website, it gives you a description of that website, a short little description of the website. And of course, the pictures are in line as opposed to some email clients. Like I said, videos also. And you can also, of course, have underlying text, strike through text. One of my favorites is code. You can make it look, it comes up a monospaced font with a rectangle around it. And it's obvious that it's code or something that you would type into a terminal. And you can write in code, just here's the code that you want to type in the terminal. And then it looks like something you would type in a terminal. Or here's the code that I just wrote for this particular language. And it looks like since it's monospaced and it's got a rectangle around it, it looks like it's programming code. You can also put in headers, 3 different types of headers, which are equivalent to, like, if you know HTML, they're kind of equivalent to H1, H2, and H3.
All right, well, guys, I need to disconnect. And I think by default, when I do, it's going to take down the meeting.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Good to see everyone.
It was great seeing everybody.
Yeah.
I look forward to next month when we're talking about sensors and Linux and home automation type stuff.
Cool.
All right.
It's
See
been
you
a
then.
terrific meeting.
Yeah, it was great.
Thanks, Dick.
Bye-bye.
See you guys.
See ya, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.